what reckless or difficult.
Well, yeah, people are obviously being urged to remain cautious. Restrictions in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland are still in place. We'll let you know exactly what's going on there very shortly.
But, of course, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, confirmed last week that all remaining legal restrictions are now lifted in England from today. They include the mandatory wearing of masks indoors. Certainly none of that at that nightclub last night, unsurprisingly. But the government is recommending that face masks should be worn in crowded and enclosed spaces. Up to you whether you decide to do so or not. So, for example, when I got a taxi in this morning, you know, me and the driver still wearing face masks.
Oh, right, really?
Well, because the position there is that essentially it's up to the driver. I mean, it's up to the driver whether he wants to take your fare or not.
Because they can take their screens down now, can't they?
They can.
As well,
they can
take.
Yeah.
It's completely up to personal responsibility.
Responsibility.
Well, all limits on the number of people meeting, both indoor and outdoor, have now been scrapped, and the 1 metre social distancing rule.
Thinking, what are we frankly doing in this country with easing restrictions?
Yeah. Feel good on them, good for them. So, I know you said, you know, they've been locked up, but there are going to be...
More cases, definitely.
More cases.
We know that.
So does it make you feel more cautious about what you're doing? Because personally, I'm feeling more nervous today because we know how quickly this spreads.
Yeah.
And actually, it's all very well and great that we've had this, you know, Freedom Day had to come at some point, but it really is, it's an experiment, isn't it? It's literally, you know...
Last 18 months, and we'll have some form of immunity. It's really difficult. These things are a balancing act. As we say, it is a form of personal responsibility. At some time, we are going to have to, at some stage, we are going to have to open up. We always knew that was going to lead to cases increasing. But, yeah, I also get the fact that there's a lot of vulnerable people looking at these nightclub images this morning who also have been isolated.
Finally, you might not be a clubber, but still you're able to go out, no mask, don't have to socially distance. Or are you feeling like you're going to be more cautious now, a bit more nervous?
No sense that you're clubbing, no. Not going to a nightclub anytime soon.
I actually, seeing these pictures and listening, I was listening as I drove in this morning, listening to the news and reports from nightclubs and 2,000 people on a dance floor, and it made me quite scared. But listen, that's me. I don't know. Right, let's get more reaction. Our North West reporter Bradley Harris is at the airport pub. He's always at a pub, bless him, but working in Manchester.
At 6 a.m. in the morning.
I know, talking changes to restrictions. Meanwhile, the North East has 8 of the 10 worst affected areas in England. So we start with our North East reporter, Rachel Sweeney, in South Tyneside, which has had the highest rates in England. Good morning to you both. Let's start with you at this time in the morning. What could be better? Thanks,
pretty.
Rachel.
And also very jazzy jackets.
You both look beautiful,
Very jazzy jackets. Thank you. Let's go to Bradley now, who is at the airport pub in Manchester. Good morning to you, Bradley. You do like the pub early in the morning. We'll give you that. But talk to us about... Now, Boris Johnson took to Twitter yesterday with a video announcing that he is in quarantine, as well as pleading with people to stick to the rules. That was just hours after... essentially did a massive U-turn trying to escape self-isolation rules. Let's have a listen into what people, that's almost 2 million of us, are currently isolating across the UK after being pinged by the COVID Trace and Test app, like the Prime Minister was. Let's speak to Matt Kilcoyne of the Adam Smith Institute, who joins us live now. First of all, Matt, before we get on to those figures about people who've been picked, I don't know whether he was in a marquee there or whether he got his kind of bed sheets up and kind of put them around. It's all very strange.
The sound wasn't ideal. Right, coming up next, we'll take a look through the front pages with Freedom Day on the top of everybody's mind, of course. Don't go anywhere, but first, some weather.
Here is the weather, and it is my word. So, irrespective of Brexit.
Well, I back to that kind of person.
It's nice. I like that. But in groups, being more careful. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just saying that they're double vaccinated.
Yeah.
Remember, like the US changed the rules on double vaccinated people wearing masks like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Becca, thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
I like the variety there.
Yeah, I tried to not do.
No, that was good. Let's do more of that later.
It wasn't just the weather that was sunny this morning.
Oh, lovely. He's in a very good mood today.
I'm here all day.
And all week as well.
Indeed.
You and I all week.
OK, going to pause on the Great British Breakfast this morning. Coming up, we're going to look at the impact that Freedom Day is having on businesses up and down the country. Stay tuned for that.
OK, let's have a look at all the biggest sports stories. It was a big weekend in sport, wasn't it? Sir Lewis Hamilton secured his 8th British Grand Prix victory in dramatic fashion yesterday, despite receiving a 10-second penalty for colliding with title rival Max Verstappen. The Dutchman, who's currently leading the World Championship, was sent careering off the Silverstone circuit at around 190 miles per hour after Hamilton's late attempt at an overtake coast. And to cycling now, Mark Cavendish has failed in his bid to set a new record of 35 stage wins in the Tour de France stage wins record as the Belgian Wout van Aert won the final. He speaks beautifully. He is the real deal.
You're a big fan.
I'm a big fan, but it was a great weekend of golf. I mean, as I said to Rupert Bell on Saturday, the leaderboard already on Saturday was full of champions, and John Rahm was sort of, who's the world number 2 there, Dustin Johnson, world number 1. It was just a really, in showcasing great sport in Britain as well.
Yeah, and I was watching the Grand Prix yesterday.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. It's great.
It was good.
I mean, it was that
bit controversial.
That first lap, my word.
But he is something else, isn't he, Lewis Hamilton?
Pause there for just a minute on the Great British Breakfast. Up next, we're asking you whether you managed to sleep last night at all. It was the hottest day of the year so far in England and Wales. We saw a record-breaking temperature break over the weekend in Northern Ireland. What's the weather going to be like? Well, I can tell you today, and the restrictions and indeed what it means. Clearly, obviously, there are lots of other scientists who, frankly, quite strongly disagree with that.
Right, here's what else is going on today. More people can now meet up with others indoors, attend weddings and funerals in Scotland. This as the country...
Meanwhile, ministers are calling for an independent investigation into those pretty shocking scenes at Wembley last week. The Football Association's review of security failings into the Euro 2020 final. We know that OK, we're going to pause on this Monday morning on the Great British Breakfast. Up next, though, theatres going to reopen at full capacity for the first time in 18 months. We're going to be live in the West End. But first, my word, it is hot out there. Let's bring you up to date with the weather.
Look what you've started. Well, we've been asking all morning how people's lives are going to...
For lots of people, things really won't change that much today. And for many people who are being cautious, who will want to wear masks and whatever, and social distancing, we'll just carry on doing it.
Carry on. But there is we were talking about yesterday on Alistair Stewart and Friends, kind of this anxiety about things open,